November 180 Bravo Bravo, good afternoon to you. Report your altitude?
2,000 feet on 1014, Bravo Bravo.
Bravo Bravo.
Hello YouTube, Wycliffe, Barrett, Xplane Dedicated. Today we're going to fly Tampa's Corfu. Legend has it that the first island that you see in Greece is the one that you fall in love with, and that was certainly true for me when in 1979 I went to Corfu and lived there for 2 years. It's really great to see Fly Tampa is now finally putting their sceneries into Xplane. I don't know whether this is a port over or not, but has a few issues, but not many. It costs $26. You can get it from xplane.org or the Fly Tampa site. Let's have a jump in the car and a quick drive around the airport. First things first, it's really well done. But also, the other thing you need to know straight off the bat is that you do need to have runways on. The runways follow contours on. If not, you'll find that some of these buildings are floating, some of the walkways are floating, even the buses in the car park are floating above the ground. So you've got to have runway follows contours on. So looking at the airport then, just driving around here, we've got some really nice little bushes, trees, 3D grass, flowers. Looks really, really good. Some of the texturing is really, really nice. It's very difficult to find issues with this scenery, but there are a couple of issues, and they're not really anything to do with what's on the ground. As you can see, there's lots of airport clutter. You've got stairways, you've got fuel tenders, you've got baggage carts, everything. It looks absolutely superb in all aspects, apart from maybe one thing, which I'll mention in a little moment when we get airborne. Just continuing around here, from the days when I lived in Corfu, this area here would have been the aircraft stands, in fact. So all the terminals have been kind of moved to the right. If you look from the terminal from the air side, it looks as though everything's been moved to the right. The original terminal when I landed there in 1979 is still there, but it's being used for something else, and there is a new terminal which has been built on some ground that I recall. The building on the right hand side there with the blue roof, that was the original terminal. We'll see it a bit better when I do a flyby in a few moments. But just driving around here, you've got all these buildings, sheds and fuel stations and petrol stations. It is really, really well done. As I say, I'm not quite sure whether it's a port over from the original FSX model, but even if it is, it's been done really, really well. It's really good. There's lots of little bits and pieces whereby you really need to take a walk around the airport to appreciate the level of detail. Here I'm moving towards Corfu town at the moment, heading in the direction of Corfu town. Turned around, I'm coming back here, just skipping in between the buses and vehicles. There's another fuel tender there as we come to what I consider is the new terminal on the left hand side here. This was not in existence when I lived there in 1979 to 1981, so this is all new as far as I'm aware. Just go past this coach here, Hertz car rental on the side there. So lots of little nice bits and pieces. Outside of the terminal, of course, you've got the passenger drop-off area, which does look absolutely superb. Everything about this is really, really well done. This is Fly Tampa class scenery. So let's get in the air, and this is where things start to not fall apart, but one of the issues is the photo scenery. Now it's very, very good, and when you're at altitude it looks brilliant, but as soon as you get below 500 feet the photo scenery does become a little bit pixelated, kind of blurs out a little bit. But everything else, you just look, you see the car park there, all the cars, rather than being in rows, they're at diagonals, which is different. Here we come up to the old terminal. This is the old terminal building here with the blue roof, which has been moved, and also the football pitch on the right hand side, that wasn't there when I lived in Corfu in 1979. But as for the rest of the city, yeah, it's fully well realised here. Just coming back, this is not the usual approach into Corfu, although you can see it has got a displaced threshold, so that this heading can be used, but normally is the opposite end, and you come in over Ponte Canisi Island, which I'll show you when I do the final approach into the airport. So yeah, I think this is really well done. One thing I would have liked to have seen is at least one, maybe two static aircraft on the ground, but that's not a big problem. And I suppose if I was to put static aircraft on, they would show up. I haven't done that, but as you can see, it's all very well, really well realised. So I lived here in 1979 to 81, and then I came back quite a long time later with my wife, and I must admit things had changed considerably on the island. Corfu town had grown greater, but even so it was still very much the same. And as we fly in over Corfu town here now, turning to the right, you can see the old fort there just to the right of the image. As we fly up this avenue towards the centre of town, you can see a church spire there, white in the middle. Around that area, lots of scenes from the James Bond film For Your Eyes Only were filmed, and that movie was made whilst I was living there, so fond memories of those times. Just right in the centre of the picture here, you can see some kind of buildings going around, and at one time you could buy the best pizza in Corfu, just there. Well, absolutely fantastic pizzas. Anyway, coming back over the Esplanade, where you can see the cricket pitch. We used to sit there on a Sunday afternoon drinking ginger beer and watching cricket being played on the green there. Fabulous place, fabulous island, a beautiful place to live and work. Anyway, just going to take a trip out away from the airport over the harbour now. When I was living here, this area here would have been full of pleasure craft, boats, speedboats, all moored up, yachts all moored up here. So I think maybe, you know, it would have been nice if we could have seen that there, but that's okay. It doesn't detract too much from the scenery. What I do need to tell you is that the whole island has been realised here, completely with vegetation. It's a custom mesh as well, so it's a custom terrain mesh. All known landmarks are placed on the island, and also it's got 3D lighting as well. There's also 3D shadow effects which are included with the scenery on top of what Xplane can produce for you. So it does look absolutely superb as we come back over the city towards the airport on what would not be the normal approach. As I said to you earlier, you wouldn't normally fly in this way, but it can be done on rare occasions. The 2 years I was living there, I never saw an aircraft come in from this direction. Anyway, so the cost of this is $26. I will put the price up in sterling and in euros for you. I think it's a bargain because you're not just getting the airport, you're getting the whole island. So the whole island has been realised. I've got some still images towards the end of the video that show that. Overall, I think this is very, very good. And if you fly in this part of the world, then this, I think, has to be a treat for you. And if you're coming from FSX or prepared to Xplane, then you will be really happy to see Fly Tampa producing those sceneries for you. So I think it's time for my approach into Corfu town. Here we are approaching runway 35. It's a beautiful approach. It's an offset approach as well. So you come in at an angle to get your final approach fix, which is around about here. And as you come down now, you fly over Ponte Canisi, which means Mouse Island. It's a tiny little island with a church, which is on the approach to runway 35. I'm coming down now, steady 135 knots or thereabouts, for our final landing into Corfu. Corfu Airport takes almost 3 million passengers a year, and the summer season runs from April till October. And there's a large British community there, has been for many, many years. And at one point, of course, the British were in control of Corfu after the Napoleonic Wars, apparently. Nice touchdown there. Time for my rollout and taxi into the terminal. We'll do a quick taxi into the terminal here at LGKR. Absolutely beautiful. I love this place, love the island. I've been back. If I could retire there and live there, I'd be very happy to do so. So there you are, you see me on the stand, hard stand. Those coaches should really be back a bit. Prices, $26, £18.46 and €21.24. Come back soon.